Alright guys, Manchester United have just left it very late to win at Fulham at Craven Cottage in added time through Alejandro Garnacho. And yeah, it was United probably on the whole of the game probably didn't deserve to win the match. It was quite a tight game. They had the better of the chances first half. I think that's fair to say. Took the lead through Christian Eriksen. The goal was a little bit lucky. It was a shot from Fernandes, really deflected right into the path for Eriksen to tap it in. But yeah, I thought United were the better side first half. The only problem they had was Tyrell Malacia playing at right back. He's a left-footed player playing right back. You don't see that very often in the Premier League, and he really left a lot of space in behind at times, and also left a lot of space in between him and Victor Lindelof, even when he was getting back. And Willian had a lot of joy down that left hand side for Fulham, and probably should have done a bit more with it. I think had Fulham had Mitrovic from the start of the game, he wasn't involved at all today, injured I believe, and then they could have caused a lot more problems than they did. I think Carlos Vinicius, he just doesn't have the same presence up front that Mitrovic has, and yeah, they could have possibly scored. I think in the first half, had that been the case. But yeah, United going forward first half were quite good. Martial, Rashford, Fernandes, Elanga all linked up pretty well, and the midfield duo of Eriksen and Casemiro looked quite solid. So at half time, you're thinking, okay, United they look a little bit defensively weak. Both teams didn't look defensively great. I thought Decordova-Reid at right back. I've seen him play there a few times for Fulham, and I'm still unsure about it because he's not a right back really, is he? He doesn't do badly in the role, but you've got Kenny Tete and Mbabu to choose from at right back. Surely one of them's got to be the better pick, I would have thought, but Fulham fans will know better than me. But yeah, both defences didn't look the strongest. I thought United, it was mostly just the right side of their defence. But to be fair to United, they were missing a lot of players through injury. I think they only had like 8 players on the bench out of 9, and 2 of them were goalkeepers, so they were really struggling for players in the squad. Second half though, Fulham just came out a different side, a lot more positive, getting a lot more players forward, and they made a change, bringing Dan James on, and he made a massive impact. It just basically meant that what he adds that Harry Wilson didn't add to the game was just pace on the right hand side, and that just made United have to focus a lot more on both wings rather than just the left side. So they were causing problems from both sides, because Fulham, it was very much on the left side where they were causing problems in the first half, and that left a bit more space for Willian, especially for the goal, to cross it to Dan James at the back, not at the back post, in front of goal, came from the back, and it wasn't the greatest finish effort from James. David De Gea, I thought, could have done a bit better, maybe like positioned his body shape a bit lower so he's quicker to react. It would have been a bit embarrassing if Dan James had hit it against David De Gea's shin and it had bounced out when he had virtually the whole goal to aim at, because De Gea wasn't covering very much of it. But yeah, he still managed to just about get it in. And Fulham had, in fairness, been putting a fair bit of pressure on at that point. There were a few saves that David De Gea did have to make. Header from Tim Ream stood out to me, and there were many others. João Paulinho, who was man of the match for me. He had an overhead kick, which was a very good effort, which on another day could have gone top corner. And he was just like dominating the midfield in the second half, making like defence saving tackles in the midfield like at all times throughout the game. I think he probably reached double figures in tackles and interceptions easily. So yeah, he looked like a class player, and for 20 million, he's probably got to go down as one of the probably top 10 signings of the season. I know you've got others that are fairly obvious, like Haaland, who else? I'm struggling here. Tyler Adams for Leeds, I know he got sent off. I think he's been quite good for them. You put yourself on the spot like this, and then you can't think of anyone. That's what happens in life, isn't it? Really. But yeah, he is. He's been a brilliant signing for them. Is the main point really. Yeah, and just looked superb again today, even with a different midfield partner in Tom Kearney, who I thought also had a good game considering it's the first time he's had a full 90 minutes in the Premier League for quite a while, because that position's been occupied by Harrison Reed of late, who has also been in brilliant form. I did think that this game would probably suit Fulham based on, whenever I watch Fulham at home, I always think they have a good chance of winning because they have a very narrow pitch, and if they're Mitrovic, it would really suit them just knocking it long, getting the ball up the pitch fast, which is their game really. It's not like side to side passing at all for them. But yeah, United, they made a few substitutions of their own. They brought McTominay on when it was still 1-0. And when Fulham equalised, that looked like a bit of a mistake. But to be fair, he was putting himself about a bit, McTominay, in all fairness. But yeah, the stuff that really changed the game was bringing Garnacho on for Martial. Martial had a decent game. I thought he offered a bit more than Ronaldo does when Ronaldo's up front. So I think he probably has to be ahead of Ronaldo in the pecking order at the moment for Man United. But when Garnacho came on, just constant problem causing on the left hand side. Gave Deco Reed a nightmare, and for the goal, how he's covered that much distance in the time that Deco Reed covers half that distance is beyond me. And it was a calm finish as well, just slotted it or like even rolled it into the bottom left corner from 6 or 7 yards out. And yeah, that's probably put his name out there a fair bit, that performance. Like I think most Premier League fans have probably heard of him, but now he's like, this is probably going to be the game that will make him, a well-known player, if that makes sense. I don't want to say this is his Makeda moment. One, because that goal by Makeda against Aston Villa was a much bigger goal than this one. But two, because that's sort of, making him a bit destined to be a flop, isn't it? Saying, this is his Makeda moment, because I think the last time I checked, Makeda was failing to play well at Panathinaikos, so definitely not a good career trajectory to compare him to when he does look like such a promising young player right now, Garnacho. But yeah, this is a massive moment for him in his career, scoring. I think it's his first senior career goal. He did create a couple of goals in the week actually against Villa in the Carabao Cup. So yeah, good week for him. And even in the Villa game, which they lost last week, I thought he was one of their better performers. So yeah, good week for Garnacho is the main point. That's not his first goal. He did score against Real Sociedad actually, but it is his first goal in the Premier League. Charlie's memories just kicked into gear actually. Massive moment for him nonetheless. And yeah, I heard Gary Neville as well at the end of the game saying how, after such a poor transfer window some of their best players this season have been their new signings. Lisandro Martinez has been one of the best centre-backs in the league this year. Casemiro, despite having a few dodgy games when he first came into the team, has looked relatively solid, bar poor game against Villa last week. Like, he's looked solid for some time. Eriksen's been a consistent performer. Malacia, when played in the correct position at left back, he had a good run of games at the start of the season against Liverpool, Leicester, Southampton, and I think Arsenal as well. He plays well in those games. And even Anthony's chipped in with a few goals. I know it's not looking particularly great for him at the moment, but poor summer transfer window, that's a bit of a statement, that. I mean, I know he's not a fan of the Glazers, Gary Neville, but you can't fault them for what they've done this summer. in terms of transfers. I know that the reason they've had to invest so heavy is because of the lack of investment, mainly at the end of Ferguson's time at the club. They haven't, spent like nothing in the past 10 years. Like, they've spent quite a lot of money in the past 10 years. But and some of the signings have been, wastes of money. Like, if you look at players like, I don't know, Romelu Lukaku, Paul Pogba, Angel Di Maria, but Harry Maguire, you could argue as well now. I mean, it's not been horrendous, but 80 million he is not. But yeah, that's a bit of a harsh statement, I think, based on this summer's transfer window. And I know there are other problems with the Glazers, the fact that there's debt, the fact that they haven't taken care of the stadium, the fact that United's facilities are a bit outdated. But yeah, I thought that was a bit harsh. But anyway, massive result for United. And yeah, they're hunting down a top 4 spot. Thanks for watching this video, and I'll see you next time.